In the late 90s, mankind was introduced to a brand new technology that was announced to be featured in our home consoles. The amazing technology of 3D. No longer would games be 2D static images. Now they were about to have more polygons. And you know what that means? More polygons means more potential. Okay, not always, but you get what I mean. Imagination was no longer limited to a 2D plane. Now the worlds and environments could be fully explored in a 3D world, and companies were not afraid to try this out. Super Mario 64 revolutionized the 3D platformer. Spyro the Dragon and Banjo-Kazooie introduced us to the collectathon aspect of games, and Ocarina of Time gave us a huge land to explore and discover on our own, with puzzling dungeons and epic boss fights. Then it came time for the Little Blue Bomber's leap to 3D. Mega Man and Mega Man X were classic hits back then when they were released, and Capcom decided to give their little robot the 3D treatment. Enter Mega Man Legends, a game/series that would stick in people's hearts even years after its initial release. And today, I finally get to talk about it. Let's do some digging. That segue will make sense, I swear. It's the year, and the world has been completely surrounded by endless water. And the world is now nothing but bustling towns filled with people who own the job title of digger. Archaeologists who dig in the ruins that are located throughout the world. While most of them dig for profit and sometimes just pure satisfaction, there is one true goal amongst the diggers: the legend of the Mother Lode. A bountiful treasure that has riches that no one can even fathom. And our two main characters are part of said journey, Mega Man and Roll. The game starts with them doing their normal thing of exploring a dungeon, and inside they find a huge gem shard known as a refractor. They then Indiana Jones their way out of there and head off on their next journey. But something goes wrong with the Flutter, their airship, and they have to make an emergency landing to a place called Catalox Island. When they land, they are met by some locals, and Catalox then becomes our own little open world for the game. Playing a bit further, we learn that a group of pirates are invading Catalox Island because of a huge treasure that's said to be buried beneath it. These group of pirates are known as the Bonds, and it's led by Teaselbon, the oldest family member, his sister Tron Bond, who is a goddamn fan favorite, let me tell ya, and the youngest brother, Babu. I don't remember if that's his name, but that's all he says in the game, and I've been calling him that since I was 5, and I refuse to change. This is essentially where the main plot takes its course for the majority of the game. The mayor asks Mega Man to help fend off the pirates while allowing him to dig in the ruins that are on the island to help find shards that could help fix their ship. But are there secrets to be found underneath the ruins? I guess we'll find out. You know, I started to notice that things about Mega Man games that the story section doesn't really last that long. Good. Probably one of the first things someone would notice when popping in Mega Man Legends for the first time is the fact that this game was in the world of 3D polygons, much like the plumber and green hat wearing fairy boy had done before. Though this makes sense, as 3D was really the only way to move forward in the gaming world back then, and Mega Man was not spared. Now I'm not going to harp on the game for being an almost 20-year-old 3D game. I think it actually looks fine if I'm being honest, but another thing that people would probably realize is the art style that this game would take, that being of the anime style. Yeah, basically from Mega Man Legends, the idea of making Mega Man more anime wouldn't really slow down from here. Characters have big bright eyes, really spiky hair, and even the facial structure resembles the mid-90s to early 2000s anime. But what else did anime have back then? Voice acting, that's right. And if I'm being honest, I don't think it's too bad. Okay, yeah, some of the lines delivered aren't as good as they should be, but you know what? I'll give them a pass. It's PS1 voice acting, I'm not expecting much. They do the job quite well, and it really does improve in the game's sequel, so yeah, good job Mega Man Legends. You did a somewhat good. Well, enough about anime, because Lord knows I don't talk about that enough. Let's talk about the gameplay. Well, as I'm sure you've probably seen from the footage, Mega Man Legends is indeed a 3D platformer of sorts. However, instead of going from level to level like a traditional Mega Man game, Legends takes place in a somewhat open world that is Catalox Island. Mega Man can run around and talk to people for either helpful info, or just hear them complain about life. Heck, even some NPCs have special side quests for the player to do, and that usually end up in them receiving something for upgrading their arsenal, which which I guess I really should go into next. So much like every other Mega Man game, Mega Man can jump and shoot with his trusty old Buster Gun. However, in this game, Mega Man doesn't get power-ups, but he instead gets different weapons that he equips to his other arms. Things like mines to even a goddamn powerful cannon. This is where the other part of Mega Man Legends comes into play, dungeon crawling. Okay, no, it's not like your traditional RPG like Shin Megami Tensei or something, but it's more like a Zelda dungeon more than anything. There is a main ruin site that's spread throughout Catalog's Island, and there's also main subgates which serve as the story dungeons. But in each of these areas, there can be many items that can be found in chests, and of course, the more obvious, holes in the wall. And one thing that I will praise about the game is the fact that the main dungeon is also spread throughout the entire island, and it's even interconnected with the subgates, meaning that basically this means that everything on the island is connected, and I honestly love that. It even lets you visit other areas without having to go really out of your way. Good on you, Legends. And like I said before, you basically do this so you can find materials to build weapons to add to your arsenal. It's kind of neat. I just like running around and finding different things and then just poof, making something out of thin air. It's a lot of fun. Though I will say, this game is clunky as hell, and I cannot deny it. Now look, I have been playing this game for years, so I'm used to it, but I wouldn't be surprised if someone picked it up nowadays and thought it did not control well at all, especially with how turning and locking mechanics work in this game. Locking being my biggest gripe, since you can't move when you're locked onto an enemy. Luckily, Legends 2 does fix this issue as well as a few others, so at least there's that. But just like every other Mega Man game, once you really talk about the base mechanics, there really isn't anything else to talk about. It's all pretty self-explanatory, as it just boils down to running around different ruins and uncovering items, or the mystery of the hidden treasure that's underneath this island. And actually, you know what? Since I really can't talk about this anywhere else, the Bonds are such precious villains, and by golly, I love them, and it is an actual proven fact that if you dislike them, then you're just wrong. Like, it's fact. I'm sorry. It's how it works. After fixing the broken flutter, the gang heads to the subgate that's found in Closer Woods. When running through the ruin, Mega Man discovers that the ruin he's in now has unlocked the mysterious main gate that's been on the island ever since people can remember. What's even more odd is that Mega Man seems to be able to read some of the ancient writings that's on the console, but he's not entirely sure why. Well, whatever the case, after exploring the main gate, it turns out that we gotta do but what else? Find 3 more keys in order to head deeper into the main gate. So we head on one more fetch quest and fight the Bonds one more time, and boom, we enter the final dungeon. And upon arriving there, we are met with Mega Man Juno? There's more than one Mega Man? What? Well, it seems Juno knows who Mega Man is and explains that he seemed to have lost his memory. Not that it matters anyway, because mainly there's a sequel, because apparently, hey, Catalog's Island is too overpopulated, and Juno's only rational thought is, haha, time to kill all humans. Juno then traps Mega Man, but the trusty Bonds help him escape, and Mega Man confronts Juno for the final battle for the lives of that on Catalog's Island. Juno expresses that he's already called the power of Eden, a spaceship or some shit, to bring forth the destruction of the island. However, if Mega Man is able to beat him in time, then he might be able to stop the sequence. So the final battle begins, and it's an alright fight. Honestly, it's one of the cooler fights in the game. However, just like most of the other bosses in this game, it's just Mega Man running around in a circle and firing his Buster Cannon and/or special weapon, and this fight is no different. It's honestly one of the cooler fights in the game. However, most of the boss fights in Mega Man Legends have just been Mega Man running around in a circle, firing his Buster Cannon and/or special weapon, and this fight is no different. Even his second form, even though it has some great attacks, it's just all the same, sadly. Well, Mega Man defeats Juno, he laughs and tells him he's too late, and just when all is lost, Data pretty much fucking Deus Ex Machinas his way to victory, and saves the day by aborting the launch sequence and deactivating it for good. How? Well, all will be explained in Mega Man Legends 2, baby! Okay, well, Mega Man and Fred say their last farewells to the residents of Catalog's Island, and from there, Mega Man Legends comes to a close. Okay, I'll be honest, Mega Man Legends isn't that amazing game that I remember from my childhood. But I'll be damned if I still don't love this game, because I do. Yes, it may not be that tightly controlled, but there's just this huge aura of charm coming from it that makes me love it despite its flaws. I love the characters, especially the Vaughns. I love running around in dungeons and fighting new items and upgrades, though it's a clunky journey, I'll admit. The boss fights, while yes, are pretty simple, are a ton of fun, and the music is just so damn catchy. It's really hard for me to recommend this to someone who hasn't played it, because the clunkiness may actually drive you insane. But if you can look past that and know that Legends 2 fixes a lot of problems, then maybe I say give it a shot. And as for Legends 2, I don't know when I'll be covering it, as Mega Man Legends 2 is my favorite Mega Man game of all time, so it might take a lot longer to get done than usual, but I will do it one day, and until that day, I hope you stick around for more from me. Well, that's been Mega Man month. Sorry it's been kind of a few days late, I've been really sick and just computer problems everywhere, but I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to do this again. So until next time guys, I'll be seeing you. Take care.